冒険者の発信する冒険配信は今や世界の一大コンテンツだ。生配信を見るもよし、編集された攻略解説を見るもよし、それこそダンジョン飯や薬品合成の配信をしている者もいる。配信はいいアピールになり、有能なパーティーにはクエストが殺到するし、自社の商品を使ってほしいメーカーがスポンサーになってくれたりもする。おお、すげえ。
All right, my friends, episode number 2 of I left my A-rank party to help my former students. And next week's episode, my friend, I know we're talking about this week. This was episode 2, but next week's episode, number 3, is called Overflow. And if you know, you know. Okay, but for real, I really like this episode quite a bit. I thought it was a really quick episode. And I like that, how do you say it? The show's pacing is pretty good. And all things considered, we have 24 episodes this season. This season has a 24-episode season. It's probably going to be split in between 2 cores, right? It's going to go winter into spring just by happenstance, just by nature of it being 24 episodes. But I feel like the pacing is pretty good so far. One of the things, though, that I will tell you guys up front is one of the things that was bothering me a lot is our main character, right? And he is our red mage, our main character, whatever you want to call him. His name is Yuki, or Yuke. They call him Yuke. His name is Yuke. And one of the things that was really bothering me is he kept referring to his party as, young girls, kids, stuff like that. Like they're little girls, they're kids, whatever. And he's like, I gotta help the kids do whatever. And the whole time I'm like, he looks their age though, right? He doesn't look much older, based on the art. He looks relatively like, of age, of their same age. So it kept bothering me the whole time. Like, okay, well, how old is this dude? Like, how old is he? And this episode, we finally figured out one thing is that Yuke himself, he's only 20. So he's 20 years old. Then we have Silk and Marina, who are both 17 years old. So one's the dark elf, which is Silk, and then Marina is a red-haired girl. And then we have the blue-haired girl who's 20, the same age as Yuke. So as he's referring to them as kids and whatever, although Rain is obviously, she looks small in stature, very similar to Roxy from Mushoku Tensei. She looks very small, whatever, but she's 20 as well. So she's of age. And then he is older, 17, 20. There's a 3-year gap there, and you're going from teenager to adult. So it can feel like you can feel elderly, from somebody who is in the teens, I guess you can say. So I get that. But he's definitely not that much older. Maybe he has a couple more years experience than them. And he did help them, as being like their tutor or like their mentor or whatever. When they got introduced into the guild, because that's the whole process and everything. But that was bothering me the whole time. I was like, man, he keeps talking like he's this, 40-year-old dude. And I'm like, he looks relatively young. I was thinking maybe 25 at the most, but it comes to find out he's literally a couple years older than them. So I'm glad that got dispelled finally. And I'm maybe now that he's realized that he's only a tiny bit older than 2 of the girls and the same age as the other one, maybe he'll start thinking differently. Now, I'm not wanting that, for any romantic, sparks to ignite into the party. It was just the approach that he was taking was that he was like this elder. And it just kind of bothered me a bit. So hopefully that narrative that he had been building up, hopefully that kind of changes now going forward. And he won't see them as these, kid, damsels in distress or whatever. Now, for the rest of the episode, I like how it established the live streaming portion of it and how live streaming plays a big part in the adventures and how it can play a part in not only establishing, people's famousness within adventuring, but it can also be used as a tool to show the guild what you're doing and not doing and how you're doing it, so they can kind of evaluate you and what kind of quest they're going to give you as a party. It's especially useful for parties like Clover who are brand new. They can see their skill level and what they bring to the table, so maybe if they wouldn't have assigned them a specific quest, they will now, because they see how they work and their limitations and stuff. Vice versa, if they feel like they have a quest that they can't handle, they now have, viable proof. And of course, now they see that what Yuke is capable of as well. So I really like that. I also like what Yuke did, when they went to go take on that big rat monster at the end, is he also uses live streaming as a tool to, hey, if we get in trouble, since the guild is watching the live stream, or people from the guild are watching a live stream, they can send help immediately. And if we're in trouble, and or since we're gonna come across this monster that they don't know who the monster is, they now have video proof that they're able to see real time, and they're able to log that. And maybe send out an emergency quest if they have to, dip out of there or whatever. So I like the live streaming aspect of it, even though it seems kind of silly. It's like this really fantasy world, this typical fantasy world, but then with these modern magical amenities in a way, which I think is really, really cool too. Last thing I'll say is, for the episode is Yuki or Yuke. I keep doing that. His name's fucking Yuki. Yuke at the end of the episode showed off some level 5, class 5 magic, like big magic, and that he's been saving that he hasn't shown anybody before. So I was happy to see him bust it out at the end, because obviously it's going to be big power, and because he's live streaming, he's going to end up being amplified, or he's going to get more famous. Basically, his famousness, his renown is going to grow a lot. Especially if he's able to take on or finish off this monster, the guild or the party's renown is going to grow a lot off of this. But then Yuki or Yuke in specific as well too is going to grow quite a bit. And I know I said last thing, but then the very last thing that I really liked about this episode too is he got to kind of give a big FU to his past and former party, because we were able to see them operate without him, and what a big integral. As most of these stories go, when someone's kicked out of a party or leaves a party or whatever, those types of stories, he was the biggest integral part of that party's success. And now that he's gone, they don't know what to do, and they're paying for it. So I love seeing that as well too, in these revenge type stories. But yeah, this episode was awesome. I think what? I think it was like a 7 out of 10 episode. I'm not gonna overpraise it, not gonna underpraise it. I think it was a good episode. And yeah. Overall, I think this was, a good episode of I Left My A Rank Party. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for more. Peace out, my friends.